Hi, everybody. Welcome to Live Stories Podcast, People Helping People. I'm Shara Goswick, your host. My guest today is Nika Maples. Nika is a speaker, an author, and a writing coach, and she is very important to me. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you've heard me talk about how I met with a life coach for 6 months before I started the podcast. Nika is that life coach. She is a writing coach, and the intention of meeting with her was to help me with my writing. We didn't talk about writing, we talked about me, but she was going to help me with things that would eventually help me with my writing. The problem is, she built up my confidence so much that I had the desire to start a podcast and just go for it after I finished meeting with her. You know, you don't have to meet 6 months with a life coach, but I encourage you, if you need help, if you are stuck in any area of your life and you just need somebody to nudge you along, to point out things that are already in you that you just can't see for yourself, like Nika did for me, I encourage you to do that. If you're wanting to write a book, Nika is a great place to go. She's written multiple books. She is very smart and she knows what she's doing. So I thank you for listening to this conversation. I ask you to send it to somebody that you think it might benefit. Thanks for being here.
Goodness, I'm so delighted to see you again.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I have been looking forward to this. My goodness.
Me too. I mean, I'm so like I want to catch up a little bit.
Sure.
Out like what led you to this podcast endeavor and
So, the point of me meeting with you was to work on my writing. And that was genuinely why I started that program. But before that, I'd had this idea of starting a podcast and it was actually before we even moved here. I bought a microphone and I thought I really just wanted to do it, but I never took the microphone out of the box. I would walk by it and I would be like, no, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I just shouldn't do it. And then I would think about it. Anyway, I went back and forth for like 3 or 4 years. And then I finally gave it away because I thought, I'm just not going to do it. Well, then I did the writing program. I thought I'm going to work on my writing. But the more confidence that was built in me through working with you and going through that program with Judy, and that desire just started coming up again. And I thought, I have to at least try. I have to try. So when I got done, we finished at the end of 2021. And then I started my podcast in the fall of 2022. So, yeah.
your liquor.
Yes.
I'm
I
so
know. Hey, I have talked about you a lot, and maybe not by name, but I have talked many times because I've talked to a lot of coaches about what a difference it made for me. I mean, it just huge, huge difference. It was the perfect timing, and it was exactly what I needed. So
I, I would love to know what is the difference that it made. What do you feel like?
you helped me see myself in a way that I hadn't before. You built up confidence in me. You helped me. It's like you weren't hyping me up all the time. You just helped me see what was there that I didn't believe was there. And so, I mean, it really was such a huge, huge impact on me, getting to meet
Wow.
with you and work with you. So I've talked about you a ton and just, how special it's been.
I'm delighted to hear that.
Yes.
And it's an honor to be on your podcast.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Yeah.
Good. Good, good, good.
And making some transitions myself because um I feel like God wants me to be writing more than I
Yeah.
it's taken a lot of energy to be coaching.
Yeah.
Like so I've put some of my writing on pause. And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of shifting things so that I can get back to writing myself.
Awesome. So for people that don't know who you are, tell everybody who you are. And I know you're a writing coach. You've been writing books. You're a speaker, but tell everybody how you got into the field of writing.
Hmm. Well, my name is Nika Maples, and I was a high school teacher for about a decade, and during that time, I just couldn't shake this this desire in my heart that I'd had since I was a little girl, and that was to write books. And I kept trying, and I couldn't do it. It's like I didn't know how to start, or I didn't know how to organize my thoughts. And I just kept thinking, I'm an English teacher. I should be able to do that. I should be able to write a book. But really and truly long form writing in a book is different from writing an essay. It's different from writing a blog post. It's different from writing a letter. Those are all short form writing. And long form takes a different kind of stamina, just the same way a marathon does. So I had to learn how to accomplish writing a book. And once I did, share people started it was weird. I wrote about 4 books, I think, and was able to, leave teaching and, start speaking full time, and right about 2020, when people suddenly had a lot of time on their hands, they was at home and they were like, suddenly everybody thought, "Maybe this is my chance to write a book," and I people started reaching out to me and saying, "Could you help me write a book? Could you coach me to write a book?" And I thought, "Well, I've never thought of doing that." But I remembered how much I was wanting someone to teach me how to
Mhm.
write a book, and it was like once I cracked the code, I knew how to help other people crack the code. All I had to do is just give them the code.
Right.
You know, and so I started helping people, and when people started getting results in writing books, I just realized that is such a joy. God calls us to multiply. There's lots of ways that we can multiply. And I always thought that the way to multiply was like write a whole bunch of books myself. But
Right.
it's actually been more multiplication to continue writing my books and to help other people write theirs. So I feel like it's a lot of fruit that I feel like has my fingerprint prints on it. So
I That's gotta be so rewarding seeing somebody that you coach finish a work that they, have worked so hard and that you taught them how to do. I know that's rewarding.
oh, it's a joy. It's such a joy. And any days that I feel like, we all have days where we're like, what am I doing? Or am I effective or am I accomplishing anything? I'll remember. No, people are being changed. Their
Yeah,
whole lives are being changed by writing a book.
absolutely. What is something as you've coached people and worked with them, what is an obstacle that you seem just about everybody faces when they start this process?
You know what so many people face is this feeling like no one would want to listen to me.
Mhm.
It's it's kind of like the name for it is like imposter syndrome, but I can share something that I really think about that term. But it's like imposter syndrome. I don't want to act like somebody who is an expert. I'm not really an expert. That's the main thing that people
Right.
run into is like there are already a lot of books out there. Why would anyone need mine? All of those sentences are in the same category of imposter syndrome. But here's the thing about the word imposter. An imposter is someone who intentionally deceives
Oh,
in
yeah.
order to have their own gain. They are so it's not even the right term because
Yeah.
none of the people that I meet who are trying to write books are actually like, my intention is to deceive the world.
Right.
Intention is to deceive people for my own gain. That's what an imposter does. They wear a mask on purpose and they just act like someone that they're not on purpose with the
Yeah.
intention of deceiving for their own gain. So I always say imposter syndrome is not, and that also the word fraud, because people say, "Oh, I feel like a fraud." And it's
Yeah.
all of this vocabulary, we gotta look at it closely. A fraud does the same thing. They have the intention of deceit. And I'm like, "That's not what's happening here." What's happening here is that you're trying to do something new. And anytime you're trying to do something new, you just feel like very uncomfortable.
Right.
It's the price of admission territory.
I've never thought about that in the term imposter syndrome. I've never thought of it that way, but that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
It's like a con artist, and I'm like, "That none of y'all are trying to be that."
Right.
None of the people, it's actually the opposite, right? Like, the people who wanna write a book, they feel like they wanna give God glory, and so they're
Right.
when they wanna share their story and what God has done, or they wanna, like, help people with this thing that they've learned. It's all others focused, and yeah, they have the dream and the desire to do it for themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
The farmer who plants a field does also eat, right? Like
That's true.
like, I'm, like, giving you all this food, but I'm not eating. Well, of course, he eats what he plants, and then there's also the intention to share. That's what being an author is. You're gonna
Mhm.
eat from the good work that you've done. You're gonna have income from it
Yeah,
because 'cause you're the one who planted the seed, so of course you get to eat the fruit, and you're sharing the fruit. What is wrong with that? That's beautiful.
absolutely. What about somebody that wants to start writing, but they don't have a clue where to even begin? What is a piece of advice you could give them?
Yeah, okay, I love this question. So there's kind of 2 there's 2, buckets that a person can be in if they're like, "I don't know where to begin." There's 2 buckets. One is, I don't have an idea, right? It's like, I don't know where to begin because I don't even have an idea I wanna write about. I just know that I wanna write. Okay, so that's one bucket, and I'll address that. The other bucket is, I have an idea. I specifically know what I wanna write about, I just don't know where to begin with it. Okay, and so I'll address that too. The first one, if you don't have an idea or a topic or a direction you wanna go, you just know you do wanna write a book one day, then where to begin is to examine your life by decades.
Mm.
And so I'm like, the first decade, 0 to 10 years old. Where did you see this is what I like to do. Um, I go through if you want a framework, the fruits of the spirit, love, joy,
Oh, wow.
patience,
Yeah.
kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. So there's 9 fruits of the spirit. You can get you can harvest 18 ideas from the first decade of your life.
Wow.
You apply this framework. Where did I see love in the first decade
Mm.
of my life? Where did I not see love? Where did I see joy? Where did I not see joy? And you go through the fruit and the absence of the fruit for the whole decade of your life. Where did I see kindness? Where did I not see kindness? And what you do with each of those, so you'll like number 1 through 9, where I saw it, 1 through 9, and then a number 1 through 9 where I didn't see it. And then you write down the stories.
Wow.
Write down the mini stories. So it's like, you know, for me, I did not see I did not see kindness one time when, um, my friends left me out during 5th grade, and they actually, like, did mean things to me, like, pulled my chair out from underneath me and, you know, so I would write that down. Like, specifically, I remember being in social studies class with someone pulled out the chair from underneath me. That's a time. And, so that would be the 2nd decade of my life because that was, when I was 10 years old. So from 10 to 20, I'm gonna do the same thing. Harvest 18 examples, 18 story you're harvesting 18 stories of where I saw the fruit, where I didn't see the fruit, you know, where I saw kindness, I'd have a different story for that. So, these are all personal to you, but it starts like a person might think, "I what's the deal with these little stories?" You know? Well, you just look for it. You just look for it, let your juices it doesn't mean you're gonna include all these stories in your book. It gets your juices flowing. And if you don't wanna use the fruit of the spirit for a framework, just mine as many stories as you can from the first decade. Like, what were the key memories? What were the key memories from the first decade? So, for me, I remember busting my chin when I raced at a bike race, and I was the only girl that wanted to race against the boys. That's off the bike, busted my chin, and got 5 stitches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a core memory from the first decade.
Right.
You go by the fruit of the spirit, or you can just go the route of core memories. So I gave you 2 options. If you're looking for ideas, start harvesting them from each decade. Once you get to 10-year-old, you move from 10 to 20, and then 20 to 30, and so on. You'll have pages and
Yeah.
pages of notes to begin. And from there, you'll say, "Okay, honestly, I see a theme. I see something that I care about more that I wanna write about." And it can be anything, but
Yeah.
you're like, "I actually care most about that concept or that memory." It's just so that does that make sense for that?
Yes, absolutely. That's such a great way to think about that. I've not ever heard that before, so I love it. I love
And
it.
it would kinda be fun, right?
Yeah.
If you, like, made an appointment at a coffee shop with yourself and
Yes.
took a journal and was like, "I'm just gonna, like, look at my life decade by decade, and I'm either
Yeah.
gonna get the core memories for each decade or go by the fruit of the spirit and see what
Mhm.
happens."
Love it.
So then the other one, if you have an idea, if you already have an idea in that bucket, and you're like, "But I don't know where to begin with it," then the first place to begin is, like, writing down everything you know about that idea. So,
Yeah.
let me just grab one out of the air. I have a client right now who's writing about, like, church hurt. She
Mm.
was very wounded by an experience in the church and was ostracized by the church. So that's what she's writing about. And I would say write down everything you like, set a timer for
Yeah.
30 minutes, get your journal and write everything that you know about it. Write down the scriptures that come to mind. Write down the quotes that come to mind. Write down all like, the people you might wanna interview, the books you might wanna draw from, and just make a collection. Just make your collection. That's where you start. So
Yeah.
people sit down and they are bullied by a blank page because they don't have a collection to draw from yet. They're just
Mm.
like, "Okay," and they're looking at it, and I'm like, "No, no, no, you get the collection together if you already know the topic." I have another, client that, was writing she just finished a book about golden doodle dogs.
Oh, well.
She has these amazing golden doodle dogs that she's trained, and she saw a lot about, like, faith and, like, obeying your master because
Wow.
she was training her
Yeah.
dogs to listen for the sound of her voice,
Mm.
act on the sound of her voice, and she just started seeing what like, "Wait, but do I do that with God?
Yeah.
The listening for the sound of his voice? Am I responding to the do I behave at the sound of his voice and obey at the sound?" So she just wrote down everything she knew about training animals and the quotes she wanted to use in the book. She created a collection.
That's
So
awesome.
so whether you're no matter the topic, I don't care
Yeah.
what it is, you can start creating your collection. So the principle for both buckets is get some kind of time frame in a journal collecting because this is what I always say, Shara. We collect the dots and God connects the dots.
I love it.
So we're like trying to write a book. We're trying to connect dots that we haven't even collected yet. You got to
Right.
collect the ideas or collect the supporting evidence for your topic.
Yeah.
Hope that helps a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. And I feel like once you start doing that, like you said, your juices are gonna be flowing because you're gonna be remembering a lot more than you realize, I think. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's like how you mentioned to me that, I wasn't when I was coaching you, I didn't do anything except draw your attention to what you already had
Right.
in you. And that caused your confidence to grow. And then you were capable of more. That's attributed to you and what you already had in you. You just became aware of it. That's what a person needs when they're starting to write a book. It's like we always think, "Oh, I need something from the outside. I need," and it's like, "No, no, no. You already have it in you." If
Yeah.
you see what's in you by getting it on paper in a collection, if you start seeing it, a person's confidence grows.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, "Okay, I can do this. I know more than I thought I knew." You know?
Absolutely. What about somebody who does know what they wanna write, and maybe it's about their life, but it's about the hard parts of their life? I know I have all I'm trying to think of where they are. Right here. All your books are right up here. You wrote your memoir and about, your life. How could you encourage somebody that wants to do this, but knowing it's gonna be difficult to go back and remember some things?
These are really powerful things to think about. What you're the way you're guiding this conversation is really powerful things to think about. You're hitting on a lot of what bothers people the most and what keeps them from moving forward. So again, there's kind of 2 buckets. So, because I mean, I've worked with lots of people. I
Yes.
see. So it's like the people think that it's hard to write about those difficult things. One, the first bucket is because they don't wanna go back to those personal memories themselves.
Right.
If it's because it's like, that's just I don't wanna relive it, what I hear a lot, I don't wanna relive it, I don't wanna go there, then that's one bucket. The other one is this my story involves other people.
Yeah.
I don't want them to I mean, there's just it's sticky because I don't know if I'm ready for them to know this, or maybe they'll be
Mhm.
mad if I write this. It involves other people. So the first bucket, I mean, is that clear?
Oh, yeah.
So the first bucket is if it's just personal and the reason you don't want to write it is just your own don't want to relive it. I just remind people well, you're not reliving it. You're actually not because you've already lived it. So
Right.
there's no way for you to go back to the past. You're actually not. So 'cause it's all yourself to be like, "Oh, I'm in a safe place. I'm in a safe place. This is not happening to me." My body may start remembering the feelings, and those feelings might come up. You know what? Here's the thing. If your body remembers your feelings that strongly, then you need more healing anyway. So, the fact that somebody wants to resist it tells me, "Oh, this is exactly what you need to do." Your body is crying out for healing, and you actually want to release that stress.
Yeah.
You want to process that trauma. You want to release the stress. Your body is saying, "Let's let go of that now so I can be healthy moving forward into the next years of my, living." So, I would just say, yeah, it's gonna feel uncomfortable, but you're gonna do the work of, "I'm in a safe place now. I'm in a safe place. No nothing's harming me. That event is over. I've already survived it,"
Yeah.
you know? And so it's the calming your nervous system, breathing deeply. I truly believe, like, the power of warm touch, even from ourselves.
Yes.
Hands on my face or, like, on my arms just to remind like, "You're okay." So, there's that. I would just encourage you, if you're resisting that, step into it. Ask the Lord to help you walk that journey, and He'll take you to, like, whole new wonderful places with Him. And then regarding other people, you know, uh, there's a podcaster named Tim Roth that I really love one of the things I heard him say on an episode. He said, "If you"
I love Tim Ross.
I know.
I love him.
He says, "If you didn't want me to tell that part of the story, you shouldn't have played that role in the story."
Oh, oh,
So that is one way of thinking about it, is like,
yeah,
"Hey, you know what? They played that role."
yeah.
Now, at the same time, I know his perspective is not like, just let her rip.
Right,
He but he's showing people that, "Hey, that's your story too.
right, right, that's the truth.
You're not in a vault. You're not under a vow of silence.
Mhm.
You're not in the vault. You're not under a vow of silence, and you are not required to you're allowed to tell a story." The thing is, we also wanna think about honoring people because the Bible does say a lot about, um, love covers over a multitude of sin. He's talking about his love, that God's love doesn't mean that we cover over it,
Right,
but we approach it with love. In other words, if your motive is vengeance or "I'm gonna get him," or "this'll make him see," you have to do some work ahead of time
Right.
because you don't wanna just front somebody out. In my case specifically, um, the one of the personal things in my memoir was that my father left our family and committed adultery, and that was very painful for me to have him leave our family, and I struggled with, am I gonna say what really happened and what it was really like? Is that
Right.
it's honoring my father? So here's how I handled it in practical terms. I decided 2 things. I said, "2 people will have veto power, and
Yeah.
be people that I trust." And so I first, I said, and it's I didn't trust my father, but it was him. I'd said, "I will give you my manuscript and allow you to read it, and if there's anything that you want to that you balk at or you say that I don't want you to put that in your book, I'll meet you for dinner and we'll discuss it." That's all I said. I didn't promise I won't put it in there.
Right.
So I gave him a copy of my manuscript and a gift card to a restaurant. And I said, "Here it is. We're going to meet as soon as you finish this. And we're going to talk about anything that you don't want in there. But this is my perspective." And at the end, I don't think that he read it. I don't think that he did.
Wow.
But a year passed and I hadn't heard from him about it, and I said, "I can't sit on this any longer."
Yeah.
I did give him a chance. So if he
Right.
thought so I said I called him up, I said, "I did give you a chance. It's been a year. I haven't heard from you. Is there are you what is your decision?" And he just said, "Well, it doesn't matter. That's your story, so you can just put it out there." So I went, "All right." He didn't ever respond to me specifically, and the other one was I let my brother read it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the one that I did trust, and he read it, and he said, "There are 2 things I recommend you change in here." And I we just opened it up for a discussion, and when he told me his reasons for changing 2 sentences, it was really sentences that were maybe disrespectful, a little out of order. I just said, "Okay, I don't really wanna change that, but I see." And so then, Shara, I published my book with confidence
Right.
because I had the humility to give it to the person that was involved and to
Right.
give it to another person who cared about me enough, and I
Sure.
listened. So I see sometimes people barrel ahead and they race ahead and they regret
Mhm.
having published something
Sure.
that's maybe vulnerable. And I'm
Mhm.
like, just slow down. It doesn't mean you can't tell a story because if somebody didn't want it to be written, they shouldn't have played that role. But what can you do to slow down and honor everybody in the situation so that you can publish it then and feel confident? Because to this day, I feel confident about it because I know that I went about it in a reasonable, honoring way, thoughtful way.
Well, I've read I mean, I don't know if you've written one since I've talked to you last, but I've read all the other ones that you have. They're all on my shelf up there, so and I think they're all signed too, so I love that.
Oh, I love that too.
So, what about people who I've heard writers say this before, that when they're telling somebody or teaching somebody how to write or talking about it, their first draft is gonna be trash, like, just to expect it to not be good.
Mhm.
How do people approach it how do they approach it without thinking, "Whatever I write's just not gonna be good enough, like, I'm never gonna make it good enough."
Yeah, I mean, I think that that really is upsetting to writers. So I do have some direction for that too. It's very upsetting to writers to think, even, oh, this is going to be trash, and I don't know why that is being said. Not necessarily true. I've never just tossed anything that I've written. So I mean, you want to have a perspective that you want to polish it. That's
Mhm. Sure.
So, I do I do notice when somebody's like, "Here's my first draft, go, publish it."
Mhm.
I'm like, "Now, that wasn't as good as it could be."
Right.
Doesn't mean it's trash. It's just like, you didn't even bother to clean it up, you know? I mean, when you have think about it this way. When you're having company, you clean it up a little bit. You clean
Yeah.
up your home. Your everyday living, people live here. So, like, there's towels on the bathroom floor, there's dishes in the sink. But if company's coming, you pick it up a little bit. You polish.
Yeah.
You make sure that the bathroom has a fresh roll of toilet paper. You make sure that, there's no underwear accidentally in the bathroom, whatever. You clean it up. And I'm like, you want the same
Right.
attitude toward your writing? It's like, if people are gonna see it, if guests are coming to see your writing, clean it up a little, polish it, make sure it's
Mhm.
ready for company. Well, that's different from saying it's trash, right? So, I'm like, don't discourage new writers that way. I would
Yeah.
never say that. This is my perspective. I say, always have a book bank going.
Mm.
What a book bank is to me is a blank document. I write in Google Docs,
Mhm.
if anyone's wanting like to know. Way back in the day, I wrote in Microsoft Word, but now I find Google Docs is more intuitive for me. Like, it's just so I write
Yeah.
it in Google Docs, and I'll always make like, if I'm writing a book called Hunting Hope, one of the books I wrote, I will also make a companion Google Doc that I have open beside it called Hunting Hope Book Bank.
Mm.
And here's what I do. Yeah, if I'm writing and if I decide that I want to delete a big portion, it doesn't have to be deleted into nowhere. I copy it, cut it, paste it into the book bank. It's removed then from the master manuscript of Hunting, but I still got it in the Hunting Hope book bank. If that then I'm like, "Oh, I'm just making a deposit." So, how has that played out for me? I'll tell you exactly how. A Hunting Hope happened to be picked up by a traditional publisher, and it was 71,000 words, and they got it, and they said, "Well, sorry, the what we have a s" people don't know, publishers have specific lengths of books that they want for specific
Right.
categories. And they were like, "This is not gonna be 71,000 words. We need it to be about 50." And I was like, "What? Cut 21,000 words?
Yeah.
That is a lot. That's so much." But
Yeah.
I just thought so I had to ease my conscience. I mean, my, I just had to soften my perspective because otherwise I
Mm.
would have cried myself to sleep that 21,000 words that I'd written were now going nowhere. I said,
Right.
"Oh, not a problem. I'm just gonna put them in a book bank." So I went through my whole manuscript and I removed big chunks of writing, and I
Yeah.
put it in this side document, and then when it came time to write the book after that, which in my case was a book called Everyday Genesis, the first place I went was to that book bank.
There you go.
Well, this was not used, so I'm just going to repurpose it, and when I changed just a few angles of the writing, it became what was a whole new book, Everyday Genesis. So, I'm just saying to anyone, don't believe that your first draft is trash. That would discourage you so much.
Sure.
Who who would do anything if they thought they were creating trash?
I think the thought was just don't expect it to be perfect. It's not a great way of putting it, but I think the thought was don't expect to be perfect the first time you do it. Just expect to have to make changes. Trash is a little harsh, but you know what I mean?
Well, but listen, you're not too far off because Anne Lamott is a writer,
Right.
and writing teacher, and she uses a profanity to talk about the first as your first draft is
Yeah.
basically trash, but uses profanity because so she's saying that that's true for her. I'm just like, that's not
Right.
helpful for a new writer to think because then it's like, well, what's the point?
Right.
I'm saying it's probably gonna be pretty good.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
first draft is gonna be pretty good,
Yeah.
but
I forgot about because I still have, when I signed up with you, I still have all your framework for your manuscript framework and all your stuff saved on my computer, but I forgot about the book bank. I remember you talking about it back then, though. And that makes so much sense. You don't send it off to La La Land. You've got it if you need it.
if you need
So, so smart.
and with files, with digital files, whether it is Microsoft Word or
Sure.
Google, you can keep them a long time. So it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's years in the future you want to look at it again. You can repurpose that writing for podcast scripts, for
Yeah,
blog posts, for articles, for captions on social media. You can repurpose it for anything you want.
absolutely. Well, I was going to ask you about your book. So tell everybody about the books that you have written. All of
Well, I've just always written about whatever was on my mind at the moment. So, and I've lived through some hard things. One thing we haven't mentioned is that I survived a stroke when I was 20 years old. So, I was quadriplegic, and that's part of what I have addressed is how to get through some hard things. So, my books kind of always have a really grounded attitude toward faith. Some people think, "Oh, I don't want another, like, happy silver lining book about faith," and I'm like, "None of mine are."
You're not all happy. Yeah,
Yeah. They're just like, "This is reality in this kind of" like, you might be going through this kind of loss
sure.
or difficulty, and this is the role that faith can play in helping you get through it. So that's what all my books are. And I do have one book that is for writers. So if anyone is listening to the since we've specifically been talking about writing,
Yeah,
was listening to this and wants to have a step-by-step, book about how to write your story, and it's called Page 1 to Page Done. And that's a workbook style, book that will help you write your book.
I love it. Can people sign up for coaching with you right now or no?
Yes.
Okay,
Actually,
and how do people do that?
I'm reopening it in a different way.
Okay,
So they really just need to go to nikamaples.com, and everything that they need to find
is
will
there. Okay. Nika, this has been just such a treat. I'm so
I
excited I got
know.
to talk to you.
Too.
I can't wait to share this.
I'm
Thank
so
you,
proud.
Nika. Thank you, Nika. You are such a huge part of where I am today, even though you didn't even know I was doing this. You're such a huge part of it, and I will forever be thankful for my time with you. So, yeah.
All right. All right. Well, we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.